Hello, my name is Sarah Yeoman. I'm a watercolorist from northern Delaware and in the summertime in the Adirondacks of upstate New York. I paint out of my studio in northern Delaware and lived for years in a private estate garden where my husband was the horticulturist. I'm known for my crows and raven paintings, also my Brandywine Valley landscapes, and also for my Adirondack work. I do go up to my family's summer house in the Adirondacks of upstate New York in the summer. We're still off the grid, and I get to spend a couple months there painting out of my studio or my family's house up there. We've had it in the family for over 100 years. So I teach out of this place and I paint out of this place, and I love to kind of get out into the wilderness, and I take my boat out with me. I have an 18-pound Hornbeck boat, which is a carbon fiber boat, and I go out and explore and paint on location and gather photo references and then come back to the studio and paint. So just sharing a couple of some of the work that I've painted in the Adirondacks and down here in Delaware, and just to give you an introduction to me. And again, I'm so grateful to the board of the Utah Watercolor Society for inviting me, and let's talk a little bit about the work that I selected and why. The show consisted of almost 900 paintings, and having a name like Yeoman, I've always been at the end of the back of the classroom, the end of the list, the back of the catalog. So I intentionally started from the back of the entrance all the way at 860 or whatever it was, and then worked my way forward. So I did that a few times. It probably over a period of 4 or 5 days, I would go through them and kind of make notes on the ones that really stood out to me, the ones that really sang, and the ones that stayed with me. And then I would start to eliminate the paintings that I did not believe were going to be in the show. And, that really helped me to start to narrow it down. So I did both at the same time. I would kind of look at the ones that I thought were going to move forward, and then also kind of eliminate some of the ones that I did not believe were going to make the cut. So, because you got to start somewhere, and probably went through the paintings at least 20 times, and gradually was able to whittle it down to the 100, but very difficult. The quality of work was just amazing, and the variety of work was amazing. It could have been a show just about portraiture and figure work, because there was so much beautiful work in that realm. Gorgeous landscapes and florals and abstracts, and um, such beautiful watercolor technique. It's so neat to see such a wide array of talent and skill and thoughtfulness and vision. So how do we decide which paintings make it to the top? And how do you compare one painting to another to receive a prize? That's a difficult thing to do. We know that this is all very subjective. But what it came down to for me, I asked myself, did this artist take a risk? Is this something I haven't seen before? And can I see the artist in process? And that's very important to me. So again, these are in no particular order, and but congratulations to everyone that got into the show. Congratulations to the award winners. And again, so grateful to the organization for asking me to be part of the jurying process. And big congratulations to all of the artists from all of the organizations. Thank you again.
Hello, I'm Jeff Allen, and I'm here to talk about my piece, Morning Bug. And first off, I just wanted to thank Sarah Yeoman for juring me into this exhibition, and thank you to the Western Federation of Watercolor Societies. It means a lot that I'm in this show, and thank you very much. And I guess I'm supposed to talk about my inspiration. And I remember the moment I saw this painting. I was on the 5 freeway, and I was going to plein air paint, and as soon as I saw the bug, like I was fumbling for my camera. So, I took the shot while I was driving. Probably not too smart of a thing to do. Anyhow, but it instantly reminded me of times I've gotten up early before. It's like a really quiet time to go surfing. And I know when I would do that, it's like a peaceful time, and it's like the morning glow, and I feel like I captured that in the painting. I think I plein air paint a lot, and so I think I kept it pretty fresh. The brush strokes, I didn't overwork parts of it, and one of the things I like about it is just the trees almost feel like a wave. There's an asymmetry. It's asymmetric in terms of the car and the trees, and sort of like a big nothing area, a big abstraction, and a detailed area. So that's the things that I was trying to do, and of course keep it fresh. Anyhow.
Barbara Kidd. I'm up here. I'm up Little Cottonwood Canyon at about 8,000 feet. It's the kind of day that got me inspired to paint my painting Sugarloaf at Alta. And if you don't see me painting, you might see me up here skiing. Hi, we're back in the studio now. And I was up at Alta skiing on a bluebird day. One of my favorite ways to ski at Alta. I'm not really a cold weather skier. And whenever there's a wonderful bluebird day, you're going to find lift lines. Thankfully, they're not that long up here in the Cottonwoods, but you get just this wonderful gathering of skiers and colors, and I've always kind of been attracted to those crowds in a strange way. And so I thought, well, wouldn't that be a fun thing to paint? And so I did. And the way I approached it was to first figure out what my color palette was going to be, because there was a lot going on up there. And I thought, what if I just simplify it and use 3 colors? So I decided to really focus on a triad of cad yellow, a quinacridone red, and a phthalo turquoise. And now I don't normally paint with phthalo turquoise. But it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. And I think you'll probably see more from me and phthalo turquoise. And then I practiced by making a black using those colors. And then I played around with the complementary colors to make some neutrals with my yellow and violet, orange and phthalo turquoise, and quinacridone red and green. And you know what? Once I got that going, and once I got the drawing completed, the rest just came together. It was a lot of fun. Thank you.
I'm Carol McSweeney. My painting is Young Dancer. I have lived in Montana for the better part of my adult life, and during those years have spent a significant time teaching, counseling, and connecting with families who participate and honor the annual powwows on our reservations. Over time, I have photographed, sketched, and painted dancers from young ages to adulthood, and have enormous respect for tribal traditions. Young Dancer is a portrait of one of the young children who danced on a hot July evening some years ago. It was the beginning of the golden hour, and his sincerity and excitement over the dances to begin was palpable. I hope that the viewer will feel the connection that I did to him at that moment.
Hi, I am Dina Altman, and I'm honored to be here talking to you. And I'm also honored to be receiving an award for my painting, Free of Gravity. This is a painting I did during what I call the COVID year. I had done a small drawing of a face that then inspired this painting. I felt that her expression captured the gravity of the moment and also the steadfastness necessary to move forward and beyond the moment. I created this piece using layers of acrylic and watercolor. The watercolor adds luminosity. Many interpretations are possible of the painting, and I like that. She could be an embryo seeding the universe, or possibly a seasoned traveler among the stars, having liftoff in a way that we humans at this juncture do not. As an artist, I strive to compose a compelling work that hopefully captures and inspires the viewer. Bringing a point of view, whether in style or thought, adds authenticity to the artwork. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Frank Fuchs. I live in Albuquerque and I belong to the New Mexico Watercolor Society. I want to thank the Western Federation and the Utah Watercolor Society for hosting this show. I'm honored to have a painting selected to be in the show, and I'm happy I won an award, so thank you. My painting, GTO Waiter, is a portrait of a young man who served my wife and I in a cafe in Guanajuato, Mexico. The abbreviation for this beautiful city with its colorful buildings and underground streets is GTO. Therefore, I named my painting GTO Waiter. I was impressed with this young man's composed demeanor and pensive expression. My goal was to paint a portrait that was simple in concept but having an impacting presence. I've always been interested in people and portraiture. I paint them using not only watercolor but also oil and acrylic. I wanted a composition of stark simplicity, not only in content but in color. I felt that this could be best expressed in watercolor. I hope you enjoy my painting and the show, and thanks again.
The idea for this painting came from a trip to Seattle. I really wanted to convey a sense of motion in the piece. I used contrasting color temperatures of orange and cerulean and painted an arc at the bottom of the piece to imply movement. I used cerulean for the shadows to give the viewer a sense of how cold the day was. Sometimes our best work comes from simple exploration and painting experiments.
Hi, this is Steve Rothard. I'm from Bend, Oregon, and I represent the Watercolor Society of Oregon. I am so grateful and so appreciative to have my painting, The Jewel, selected by Sarah Yeoman as one of the many paintings to go into the Western Federation of Watercolor Societies show, their 46th show, in May 7th of this year. She's also given my painting, The Jewel, an award, which I will receive on the 7th. And I want to also thank all the people that worked on this show at the Watercolor Society of Utah, especially Ann Galt, who is the exhibition chair. I want to just talk a little briefly about my painting, The Jewel. I'm a figurative watercolor painter. I paint portraits and also other figurative paintings. This is Stephanie. She's an artist and a friend and very beautiful person physically and also spiritually. I wanted to, in this painting, to show her personality, get in and show her personality, and therefore I tried to zoom in close to her face and her hands. She has beautiful hands, very expressive hands. And so I had to crop the photograph significantly. I had to cut out her head, cut the hat. The photograph had most of her torso. I cut that off, and most of the chair I just left with the little finial here. And what that does is zooms in on her face and hands, and I think gets to her personality. With that cropping, I had to be very conscious and and be sure that I balanced the painting. Her hand and ring and the finial right here brings you into the painting immediately. You see that. What I needed is to balance that. She is looking off, that helps, off to the other direction, that helps. I also maintain in the cropping her fingers that were lit by the light, and there's some high contrast area with her earrings, and that should help balance the painting. And finally, or in addition, I've left a little bit of the design of the hat up here, and that should also pull the eye and balance the painting. The other thing that's happening is the little light that's on the edge of her hat that came out. I've kept that, and I'm using that as like a halo that is circling her head. So that's also helping with the balance. The other goal that I had was to add a multitude of colors in her skin and in the painting. So in the skin, I've used some arbitrary colors like green and blue. There's 2 green, blue. There's also pinks and other colors that built up her overall skin color. She was wearing a maroon hat like her blouse, but I've changed that to a turquoise blue, which I hope adds more interest and a little more dynamic quality. And looking at the overall skin color and the blouse, I felt the background needed to be a complement to that. And with I picked green, and which I don't use very often in the background, but I think it works. Hopefully it works here. And in the green, you can't see it, but there are little pieces of maroon and little pieces of blue to echo the hat and the blouse. So there's my painting of The Jewel. I'm excited it's in the show. I'm grateful. I want to thank everybody that's working on the show, helping put it together, and congratulations to all the artists that are going to be represented. Thank you.
Hello. Thanks to the Western Federation for the opportunity to have this show, all the volunteers, the jurists, and it's a wonderful honor to be in the show and to have an award. So my painting, as the title suggests, is about the Salmon River in Idaho, which is known as the River of No Return. It's a very popular destination in the summer for rafting trips, and it has really great quality of being isolated through wilderness areas with unbelievable beauty, solitude, and adventure going through rapids. So I've been fortunate to go down it a couple times, both the Middle Fork and the main salmon. And each time it's been so much fun. So in my watercolor, I tried to capture the essence of that experience. And when I do that, I try my best to use some of the unique qualities of watercolor, the looseness, the expressiveness, to see if I can get that experience right. And for me, that's the fun of watercolor. And I hope you enjoy the painting, and thank you so much again.
Yeah. Hi everybody, I'm Bud Edmondson. I'm a signature member of the New Mexico Watercolor Society and hope soon to be a master signature of the WFWS. I've been with the WFWS organization for years. As a matter of fact, my first entry that was accepted into WFS was 1995. I've been active in the organization and have been on the committee for the 2002 and the 2012 exhibition here in Albuquerque. So I am very familiar with the organization and I think it does a great job. Now, as for my painting, it's called Elect Judge Ortega. It's from a barn that I discovered years and years ago, actually a complex of barns, and I have used it for numerous paintings over the years. Some people say that I paint nostalgia, but I really think that I paint history. To me, the history of this barn is the most exciting thing about it. Imagine the history of why would a politician stick a political advertising on a corral fence? What were the times like then, and what occasioned that? And so I feel that I'm a history painter, not a nostalgia painter. Cut.
Hi there, my name is Kathleen Lanzoni, and I'm very honored to have my painting morning conversation included in the Western Federation of Watercolor Societies exhibition. I wanted to give you a little bit of information about myself and my painting process to help you better understand why did I paint this and how do I go about creating this artwork. I am a professional watercolor artist. I teach classes, I do gallery work, I paint plein air at events and for myself, and I paint murals as well using acrylics. For this particular piece, it was a studio piece. And the inspiration was I was having breakfast with my very good friend. We were solving all the world's problems over breakfast, and the light was shining in on her, and it was very soft. But at the same time, there was the intensity in her eyes when we were having this discussion. And it was just amazing to me to see this contrast and this connection as well. So that was the inspiration for my painting. The process I use for studio painting and plein air painting both is that I will do a value sketch and a composition sketch first. Try to design it. How do I want it to look on that in the format of the paper? I will then do a color sketch to get my colors right. Choose the colors I want to work to get that soft feeling. And then when I go to my paper and I do my final drawing, I'm free to let the watercolor do its magic. I can loosen up, I use my muscle memory, and I can enjoy the process. So that is the way I work in the studio. When I do plein air painting, I will do the same process, just less time. I move faster, and I usually do not do the color sketch. I will do the value and composition sketch and move straight to the final painting, because when you're painting outdoors on location, the light changes so fast. So I try to capture that right away. That's generally the process I use as well with my murals, and I try to pass that along to students when we're doing classes, because it's just, whether you're painting watercolors or oils or pastels, It's a great method to have. You know, you have your control over your planning and your subject, and then just be free and let the process happen. Thank you for having me, and I hope you enjoy the exhibition.
Hi there. I'm Roberta Dyer from San Diego, California, and this is my studio. I am delighted to be here talking to you today about my painting. This is called Shades of Evening. It's something that I do frequently, which that is to say use the figure. I keep circling back. I've done a lot of different things, but I always circle back to the human figure because I think it gives me an avenue to express myself the best of any other. People love my animals. I like my figures better. This one is done on hot pressed paper. I started out by doing the drawing. I love to draw, and that's where I find myself mostly. I'm an intuitive, expressive painter, so I never know where I'm going to end up with my paintings. I'm not a planner, and I think that's why acrylics work better for me than any other medium that I can use. I'm a mixed media painter. I use, this one has crayon, it has acrylic paint, it has pencil. There's probably a little charcoal in there too. I'm not, as did I say this, I'm not classically trained, so every painting for me is an adventure in finding the way to get to completion. And with acrylics, I find I can do that give and take, come back in and correct myself, and find something I don't like or do like, and make necessary adjustments. So I'm thrilled to be part of the Western Federation of Watercolor Societies. I've been a member of San Diego Watercolor Society for about 12 years now. I went back to art seriously about 25 years ago and told myself I was going to give it a shot and see how far I could get. And it's been a wonderful journey. And this is a special treat for me. I am a signature member of Western Fed and am delighted to still find my work worthy of being accepted. Thank you for joining me. Take care.
Greetings, watercolorists. My name is Bill Dale. I'm a member of the Southwestern Watercolor Society based in Dallas, and I'm very pleased to have been accepted into the Western Fed show this year. My painting is antiquing, or the name of it is antiquing. It comes from some snapshots that we took when we were on a vacation trip to Rome several years ago. We were wandering around late one afternoon and I ran across this antique shop. It was closed, but I looked through the window and I kind of saw this scene that intrigued me. It was kind of foggy and grubby and antique-y looking. So some years later, I've decided to make a painting out of it. The snapshots didn't really look anything like this. I did use the furniture mainly. The window didn't look like that. It was an industrial, rectangular kind of affair. I put in a better looking window, changed the lighting on the wall, added the chandelier. The bronze busts are really from my living room. And of course the figure wasn't there because the store was closed. So I borrowed her from another painting that I did several years ago. She's a friend of mine, she's an artist. So that's what the painting's about. I tried to retain kind of a murky, monochromatic color scheme to make it look like an antique store. So that's what that painting's all about. I would like to thank Sarah Yeoman, the juror, for selecting my painting to be in this Western Fed exhibition this year. And happy painting, everybody.
My name is Jay Brees. This is my painting, as good as it gets. I wanted to first, before I discuss the painting, I wanted to thank the members of the Utah Watercolor Society and Ann Galt for putting together this show, and the Juror for jurying it, Sarah Yeoman. If I have any talent, talent has come from all the things I've done with my society, Colorado Watercolor Society, all the demos and exhibits and critiques and so on, and from the support of my fellow artists. I wanted to thank them as well. So let's talk about the painting. This is an area of the high country. I really love the high country of Colorado. It's an area of Rocky Mountain National Park, the trail that links a number of different lakes that go higher and higher. And these are the kinds of areas that I love and try to get to, and they basically give a lot of perspective to all any worries that I might have and so on. So the original area has a downslope this way, and I wanted to show this area, of course, but I didn't want the viewer to slide off the painting and disappear. So I added these two trees here to prevent them, and I leveled out things and had this big boulder here so that the viewer would still not go out and would try to turn around to the right as the path directs. If they did get by these trees, I have a line of trees down here to try to bring them back up to the area where I wanted them. The painting has a little bit of mystery here. We don't know what's going to happen around the bend, but I'm sure it's going to be unbelievably spectacular. I like the fact that the viewer had to struggle a little bit to get to the area that I wanted, just like a hiker would have to struggle to get up to this area to see these kinds of views. I also tried to show the changing patterns of light that come about later in the day as the clouds build up. So I was very excited to do this painting, and I hope you're enjoying it too. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Scott Bodell. I'm a member of the Southwestern Watercolor Society in the Dallas area. I'm a medical illustrator who's been doing nothing but digital art for a long time, since way back in the early 90s. And I just started painting with watercolor a few years ago, and I'm really starting to have a lot of fun. Last summer, my wife and I took our COVID road trip to Paladura Canyon in West Texas, up to Colorado in the Rocky Mountains, and down to Santa Fe. And I returned just really in love with everything desert, mountains, rocks, all of that. So when I got back, I've done several paintings from that trip, but this particular painting was really just a test drive of some new paper. This is the first painting I did on Saunders Waterford 200-pound rough paper, which I really like a lot. Just simply wanted to see how the colors would blend on this paper, and if I could do some of the things I've been doing with other papers. Like most experiments though, I didn't like my first results, this painting, and I almost threw it away. However, I put it in a drawer for a few weeks, came back with a better attitude, and realized it was worth keeping. So still, I was surprised and very pleased to have it accepted into this exhibition. I do want to say thank you very much to the Western Federation. This is a pretty special, tough time to pull off an event like this. So for all the people who've done a lot of work, thank you so much. I want to say congratulations to the other participants, and I want to give a special thank you to Sarah Yeoman for putting together a really great show. I'm honored just to be a part, and to win an award is just a really special encouragement. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Sam Livingston, and I am honored to have my recent watercolor, Once Proud, accepted to the 46th Western Federation of Watercolor Societies exhibition. I live in Wilsonville, Oregon, and I'm a member of the Watercolor Society of Oregon. My favorite mediums are watercolor, egg tempera, and the occasional piece in colored pencil. My favorite subject matter is what I'd call rural realism, composed of primarily old buildings, barns, and vehicles that have in most cases passed on into retirement and seem to exist now only to remind us of their past. My painting, Once Proud, is of the old Kenton schoolhouse that was originally built as a one-room schoolhouse in 1908, but soon outgrew its space and had another room added to accommodate a high school. It operated until it was closed in 1940. It is in rural Washington County, Oregon, located on the old Shoals Ferry Road. The actual ferry has been gone for several generations, but at least for now, the old schoolhouse still stands. What I love is the texture and feeling it now invokes that wasn't there in her younger life. The wrinkles, sags, rust, and stains that bring her a beauty and presence that only comes from a life of service, that with what we call progress ultimately led to her final neglect. There's a spirit, even a soul that emanates from her that is more than visual. Sometimes you can feel, smell, and taste. You can even hear the sounds that were part of her history. You can sense the lives that once passed this way, whose great-grandchildren testify that they once were, and were served and made better by the very existence of this structure. It is a pleasure and even a sacred honor to in some way capture for all time just a bit of the life still there that speaks of her present, her past, even hints of her future, and testifies that she was indeed once proud.
Hi, my name is Stan Kurth, and I'm going to talk a little bit about my painting that's in the 46th Annual Western Federation of Watercolor Societies exhibition. First off, I'd like to thank Sarah Uman for including me in this exhibit, and also the Utah Watercolor Society for doing a superb job of putting this all together. My paintings are generally, I consider myself an intuitive painter, and that means I don't really do a lot of planning ahead of time for a painting. I just start painting. Any images or any shapes or forms you see are just out of my head, and I guess they're things that can be associated with my entire life. This painting is window pane number 46, and there's more to window pane than just numbers. But I don't have time to get into the whole window pane thing in this short amount of time, so I'll just talk a little bit about the painting. This painting is monochromatic, as you can see. It's a warm hue. I started with making marks with ink, and then gradually adding color and value until I was pleased with the composition and the shapes that are in and about the painting. So that's about all I have to say about it right now, and I'm very appreciative that I'm in this show. It's an honor indeed. Thank you all very much.
Hi, I'm Beth Trott, a proud member of the Idaho Watercolor Society living and painting in Boise, Idaho. My painting, titled 2020, A Self-Portrait, started very late one restless night. My mind was racing. I couldn't seem to stop ruminating about the uncertainty of our times. And while I typically put a great deal of planning into a painting before I start, I had chalked this up to an art therapy session, so I just grabbed a mirror and dove right in. I painted for a little over an hour, pretty intensely, was able to clear my head. The next morning, I set the painting aside and completely forgot about it. It was about 3 months later that I unearthed the painting. And as soon as I saw it, I knew it had potential. It was a diamond in the rough, to be sure. It needed a lot of work, but there was this frenetic energy to it, and I just knew I had to finish it. So in finishing the painting, I did take a great deal of time and care in rendering the form, also in trying to give it a sense of depth, considering how dark the painting is and how high contrast it is. And I had a blast noodling around in the shadows. It was a lot of fun. But my top priority the entire time I was completing the painting was just not to lose that energy, that raw emotion that I had managed to get on that very first late night art therapy painting session. So there you have it. That's a little bit about my piece. I do want to take a moment to thank the Western Federation of Watercolor Societies for hosting the show, and a huge thank you to Sarah, not only for jurying this piece in, but for the special recognition. I've seen the show and the work is outstanding, so I am deeply honored to be a participant in this show. So thank you very much, and happy painting, everybody.
Hi, my name is Mila Raphael. I'm from Portland, Oregon. I was very pleased to learn my painting was chosen for the Western Federation of Watercolor Society show in Utah, and really excited when I learned it would receive an award. The inspiration for my painting, Waiting for Tim, was the sense of isolation. Scout, Tim's dog, is looking out of the truck's window into the northern New Mexico landscape, where my husband and I retreated to our son's small ranch for safety during this time of COVID. Painting Waiting for Tim was a fun challenge, bringing in the beautiful blue color of the New Mexico skies into the truck and the dog's fur, playing with the textures in the grasses and portraying the long vistas of the landscape. Thank you to Juror Sarah Yeoman and the Utah Watercolor Society for making all of this possible. Thank you.
This painting of a hooded figure on Coronado Beach was inspired by the incredible morning light and how it involved her. She is my wife, a subject I return to often. When I was attending Cooper Union in the late 50s, studying art was a heady experience. Not only was New York City the center of the international art world, but abstract expressionism was in full blossom. Artists such as de Kooning, Klein, Pollock, Guston were working right down the street. We were all alive with possibility. The 10th Street scene had just begun with the establishment of the Tanager Gallery, and the other independent galleries soon followed. Most importantly, though, was the prevailing ethos of what it meant to be an artist in the tenuous relationship of art and commerce. It was less about the artist as personality and more about the pursuit of an ideal. It was, after all, the best of times.